Well, welcome to episode 37 of the Hunt Backcountry podcast, presented by Exo Mountain Gear. If you caught last week's episode 36, you know it was a special one, and this is certainly a continuation of that. First, big news, we have a big giveaway going on right now. Hopefully you're catching this podcast as it's happening in May of 2016. We are giving away a brand new Exo Mountain Gear pack and new frame. More details coming soon, but trust me, you're going to want in on this. So the giveaway is really easy. Go ahead and visit exomountaingear.com/giveaway. There, just share us your email address, and then especially just for you, the podcast listeners, we have bonus keywords. So hopefully you caught last episode 36. We gave the first bonus keyword. The bonus keyword for this episode is actually two words: no boundaries. No boundaries. So at Exo Mountain Gear, we want to design products that help you hunt with no boundaries. There's plenty of things against us when we are in the field, when we are hunting the backcountry. You know, we have weather conditions, we have the animals who are extremely tough to hunt, all kinds of things to worry about. We don't want gear holding you back when there's already so many obstacles. And so no boundaries is kind of a theme that we have in the way that we designed the packs. So even for this new pack that we're going to give away now, the day pack, we've really put a lot of thought into designing it so that whether you're taking a day trip or, you know, maybe a quick overnighter or two, you can fit with this pack. We don't want the pack holding you back. We want to provide good functionality, not only to be able to hunt effectively, but then at the same time be successful and get your meat out of the field with this awesome new K2 frame. So anyway, go check out the giveaway, exomountaingear.com/giveaway. Now, this is part 2 of the interview that we had with Paul the Elknut Medel. Hopefully you guys really enjoyed last week's episode. I know that I enjoyed having the conversation, and this is part 2 of that conversation. So again, be sure to send us your questions if you have any to podcast@exomountaingear.com. We're probably going to have Paul back in the future to help answer some of those. And at the same time, if you just have any feedback or comments about the podcast in general, we would love to hear it, as well as any reviews on iTunes. That would be awesome. This week's episode, Paul Medel. Don't forget about the giveaway, and thank you very much for joining us. One thing real quick, I mean, you kind of mentioned that's leading into this, that is a good strategy to take when you have, you know, again, we're earlier in the season, you may hear those just few bugles in the morning, but then things get quiet. So I think, you know, the question that comes to mind for me, and is something that a lot of hunters struggle with, especially newer hunters, you hear an elk, you know, maybe quarter mile plus away over on this ridge, you kind of have a general idea, but really, how do you approach that? Like you mentioned, clearly it's best to wait to bugle till you're within 150 yards or so, but if this elk goes quiet, do you have any tips or tricks or advice for actually knowing, okay, I think it was kind of over here, here's how we're going to move in his direction, here's how I think we can get close to where he's at? I mean, that's so difficult at times to get in range, I guess.
It is, you know, and there's no solid 100% answer for everything out there. And so we look for certain things. And when you've elk hunted for a lot of years, there's certain things that fall into place that tells you what's happening and the type of bull that you're working. It's like I said in the very beginning, the message being sent is so important to us. Well, a lot of people, when they hear a bugle, they're like, there's an elk over there. There's a bull over there. Well, when we hear a bugle, we are saying this bull is saying this. So see, this helps us a lot real fast. When we hear a bugle, my first thought process is that a herd bull or satellite? Very first thing. I have to identify what I'm going to be working, because I do not work a herd bull and a satellite the same way. If you do, you're going to miss out on a lot of opportunities, a whole lot. You have to work them as individuals, what their wants or needs are. Their wants or needs are through the message they just sent. So if I heard a bull bugle, are we talking a bull that bugled on his own, or is he responding to my bugle?
Yeah, I was more so thinking of, you know, the situation where you hear, not in response to your own calling, but you just hear, you know, maybe a few bugles in the morning and then things get quiet.
Yeah, and it depends how many there are, but when elk are generally bugling, they're trying to attract. They're advertising themselves because that's the biggest thing a bull will do as he's trying to attract cows. As the rut starts picking up, his bugling can pick up. But what you're going to notice is he's a lone bull. When a bull's trying to build a harem and there's no hot cows, you don't have 4 or 5 bulls screaming and bugling and challenging one another. You don't have that. You have one bull, and he bugles over and over and over as he advertises his position. And you'll notice when that bull bugles, he may pace, but he's not going anywhere. He's already where he wants to be because he's advertising his position to who? The cows. When he bugles like that, he is looking for cows. And so every year we kill at least one bull that we, or if not more, that we find that's all he's looking for. Because when a bull bugles repetitiously, and repetitiously means you can hear 6 bugles within 30 minutes. If it's more than that, that's a bonus. But that bull is advertising himself and his position for any cows in the area to come over his way. And that's what he's doing. So if I'm hunting that bull, what is my best bet to try to kill that bull? Am I going to run up there and bugle at him?
No.
Why would I do that? Does that mean that bull would never come to me? No. But what are the odds? I'm going to give that bull what he wants. I'm going to give him exactly what he's asking for. He wants a cow. So now I'm going to try to get closer. And since he's interested in a cow, I'm going straight to cow sounds. But I'm not going to any cow sound. I'm going to a cow sound that lets him know I heard him. And a cow doesn't just go, meow, meow, I heard you. You know, a lot of times she'll throw out something real loud. She'll give you that, meow, meow, meow. And she'll hammer you, and I'm just doing that with my voice, but she'll hammer you with a solid one. And as soon as he answers, if he doesn't, I will usually wait a minute and do it again. I usually will get him to answer because of the fact he was looking for cows. And so once he answers me, I answer him instantly with a cow sound. Instantly. I let him know there's a communication going on. I heard you, and I'm coming. How does he know you're coming? You rapidly increase your cow sound. And that's what a real cow will do as she accepts the invite. She's now going, meow, 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 and she'll get that little pleading sound, and she'll start going right at him. She may mill around and ding around, but she'll go right at him. And as she gets closer, this excites the bull. How do you know? Because he gets vocal with this cow, and he's giving her a direction to get up there. And so in that kind of a situation, you do not sit back and hang up at 150 yards and ask the bull to come to you by just sitting there cow calling. No, you do exactly what he's asking you, and you go right at him. And I mean, we've killed so many elk doing this. And I know I keep saying, oh, we've done this and we killed all these elk. I should probably tell you the 5 of us in 25 years have killed 178 bulls all over the counter. So when I say, oh, this worked and that worked, and then don't get me wrong, I'm not sitting here trying to brag, but I'm just trying to show you that we actually take a lot of elk in the Elk Nut Crew, and we're all a real close-knit family. We all live here in the same town, hunt the same areas, and we're hunting the same elk that everybody else is hunting. But to take that many elk, you're doing something right. And these sounds, I tell you, it is the game changer. Once you start figuring it out, and this is an area, guys, it's 5.9% to kill an elk here. That's what the odds are. But we take them every year because of this, and we hunt other states too. But just showing that they're very, very effective on what a lot of people refer to as call shy or heavily hunted and wolves all over. But these elk are still callable. I haven't even told you our best techniques at all yet. You haven't asked, but this is what we do when we get in certain situations. Like I say, whether it's sitting a trail, whether it's cow calling that bull. And try to go right to him. We don't expect him to come to us in a lot of situations. See, what happens when you get to that area and you go, okay, that sounds great, Paul. You're saying you go right at him, the bull's calling you, and I get 70 yards away and I can't get any closer because the brush is so thick and heavy and the noise is ridiculous, or there's an opening. And I know, dang, well, I can't get through it. If I try to force my way through that and I hook around and the wind's not right, I need that bull to come to me. That's all I could do. I have no choice. I have to get him to do the rest. How do I do that? So see, you have to have an answer for everything. And it's not, okay, he's a know-it-all. But when cows get to a point where they don't want to go any further, they ask the bull to come over to them. Okay? They use a specific sound. So that's how important all these sounds are, is that you're using one for this, one for this, and one for this. And so when you get in the situation and you become familiar with them, you know exactly which one to reach in and grab for your bag of tricks. And the sound that a cow will use when she's trying to bring other elk her way She will use the contact buzz. You guys have probably heard about it, but she buzzes with it, and it sounds like this. And that's what she'll do, but she'll do it about 10 to 12 times, and you hear the little nasally buzz to it.
Mm-hmm.
Totally different than going. So you see the difference in that sound, and elk know exactly what that means. When you watch other elk do this, and I've watched elk do this in May, June, July. I used to feed elk for 5 years, 70-something head. I would hear every sound you imaginable. And when cows would get disturbed or the other ones were going too far away, they were in the deep snow, they're trying to bring them over that the feed was being thrown out by me. You should hear these cows light up with that sound, trying to bring the other ones back over, letting them know, well, that's what I do with the bull. If I get to a spot and I can't do it, and he's not aggressive, if he's aggressive enough, I can cast a bugle right over him the minute he tries to get that cow to come up there and let him know there's an intruder. But when there's really no action, I'll tell you right now, you could do that to 8 bulls in a row, screaming that bugle right over that cow, and he ain't coming. He could care less, because he's not real willing to fight. But if there's a hot cow in the group and now you're working a herd bull with that situation, totally different atmosphere. So you have to know when a bull's aggressive and when he's not. You'll know by his sound. How do you know when a herd bull has hot cows? Multiple bulls are bugling. That's what happens. You're going to hear 3 or 4 bulls bugling all over the place, real close by, because there's at least one hot cow in the group, and these other subordinate or satellite bulls sit on the outskirts, because they know they can't whip old Joe. They know the pecking order. But there's a hot cow. And these 2 or 3 other bulls, guess what? They have the same urges as old Joe. And so what they try to do is they're not trying to fight him. They know they can't take him. So they stand back around 100, 150 yards where it's safe, and they try to outbugle one another to draw that hot cow over to them, because it's the cow that chooses the bull to breed her. The bull does not choose the cow. Same with deer. They choose the animal that will breed them. And so these guys try to represent dominance and strength through their advertising, trying to draw that cow over there. And that's what's going on. When you got that happening, you have an aggressive herd bull. That guy is willing to die. And if you're willing to kill a satellite and you have no problem with shooting a 5 or 5x6 or whatever the satellites are, then forget trying to kill the herd bull. You go straight to a breeding sequence. And those bulls will come in so fast. And what's the breeding sequence? I mean, that's what I mean. There's some other things. But breeding sequence is what brought those satellites there in the first place. How did he know there was a hot cow? How did those other ones know? Maybe they checked an area. But when there's a hot cow in the group, or 2 or 3 or more, the herd bull goes ballistic. He's vocal. Why does he do this? Because he's so nervous and upset if a cow gets out of his sight that's hot. The other 3 or 4 that ain't hot, he could care less about them. They're not hot. They can't be bred. So he doesn't have to worry about anything bothering them. But the ones that are hot, he's constantly scolding them and telling them to stay close. And if 2 get out of his sight, they go to the trees, he gives them a short lip ball. So when you hear that lip ball in the woods, you know darn well there's a hot cow and he's talking to her. It's like talking to your child and telling it to do something, and it's not paying attention. You throw more urgency and your voice raises. And that's what the bull's doing. But he's doing it through tone, through intensity. So he may chuckle them. That's not nearly as urgent. He may give a short scream. He may even cow call. You'll hear a bull. It's so funny because you'll hear a bull and he'll kind of go up. And he'll do it all in one motion. It's no question in your mind the bull did that. It's not a cow because it's just too quick. It's the same object that made that sound. And you'll hear him do that. There's not an urgency there, though. But the lip ball, totally different ball game. When you hear him give him that lip ball, that means he's getting ticked because she's not paying attention or they're not paying attention. So what you're doing is you're imitating this entire sequence. And you'll hear cows. They're just mewing everywhere. And you may even get one that mews a little harder than the other in calf talk, but the bull is the most vocal. You go to a breeding sequence, try to get 150 yards from the herd. That's all you have to do. And I think this is damn near 100% for us. And I kid you not. You go through a breeding sequence, which brought those satellites there in the first place. You're not going to kill the herd bull doing this. You're going to kill a satellite. That's not a herd bull sequence, but you get tight, what brought them over there in the first place, they will come over so quick to check you out that there's another group that moved in that has a hot cow or more. And so it draws them in there that quick. because they're not having much luck over there. They're going to come and check you out. And I tell you what, we have killed, that's probably our number one elk killer right there, is as far as killing satellite, it's go straight to a breeding sequence. I've actually killed bulls, and so has Paul, on August the 31st by going straight to that breeding sequence when we got in some hot action, which does happen every once in a while.
Huh. That's interesting, because I know I've found myself, this is later in the season where you get in that group and there's a bunch of elk bugling and you're bugling and cow calling and everybody's cow calling. Pretty soon I just throw up my hands. I'm like, shoot, I just sound like everybody else and nobody's paying attention to me because they got so many else around. But looking back, I'm just kind of copying. I'm just kind of bugling and cow calling, and I'm kind of no different. So you're kind of saying add this breeding sequence and kind of set you apart from all the, because sometimes you get in those basins and there's a lot of action going on, and
that's right.
How do you make yourself different and get them to pay attention to you?
Yeah, and if we get into some heavy action where there's that much, a lot of times most situations you're looking at a herd bull and one or two satellites. That's probably one of the most common scenarios, and in that situation you can definitely bring in those satellites right then and there. I mean, they just come right in. At least one of them will, and you're going to have your shot opportunity. Another thing that we do when we get in that situation, if we feel we need to go beyond and look out beyond the box right there, we will have the shooter, especially when there's two of us, and a lot of times there's two of us. And one person can do this, but it works better with two, is we will answer one bull that we pegged on that out of 3, 4, 5, ever how many bulls. Every time this one bull bugles, hammer him with the cow sound. And you'll notice he's going to hammer you back, and all the bulls are going to hammer you back. But don't answer any bull but other than the one you have pegged that you want to hunt and kill. Don't answer the other. Every time he answers, wham, hit him with the cow sound and start going right at him. And so when we do this, we know our signals, my son and I, when things are just not happening as fast as we should, and we want to peg one bull, the shooter starts going right at that bull that he's interested in, because they're really all bugling right now, but you're only answering the one. And when he's going at that bull, here's what he sounds like. So it's not a normal cow sound, and she's showing excitement, and you go right at him. As soon as he gets maybe 70, 80 yards from me going at that bull, I start lip balling that cow to get her butt back. You see what I mean? And so I'm playing the game that this cow is choosing that bull instead of the one she was with. Guys, it absolutely kicks butt. It does, because you go to them, and as soon as that shooter is getting closer and closer, because now she's chosen this bull, you have to be aware of what's going on. These guys are bugling their brains out. I mean, we're talking, like you said, this is aggressive action. This is rutting going on, and so as she gets closer and closer and closer, the bull she's pegged on, he is going nuts. He is hitting every sound she's making, and he's just squealing and bugling and chuckling, and he's encouraged her to come while I'm back there hitting this sound. This is very important. I'm trying to call my cow back, and so I'm hitting that bull like this. And I'm hammering it like 3 or 4 times in a row. I'm trying to get her attention to get back. See, this really sells it, that this cow is choosing this other bull. It's given him the confidence to hold out and wait for her to show right up. And you can't believe how many elk come into that. I mean, it's just, again, when the situation arises and you say, okay, we got to do this instead. Now, this isn't happening fast enough. That's what you do. And so when you start doing things like that, you're going to see that you're putting a lot of elk on the ground. You're giving yourself more opportunities by getting aggressive there than just having and expecting all the elk to come over to you. So a lot of times you got to get serious. I mean, you got to take the action to the elk.
And then say there's 4 or 5 bugling in there. How do you choose one? You just pick the closest one if you don't care what you kill, or do you look at how they're calling or where they're at?
Yeah, you can't hunt every bull. And like I said, it depends on who the shooter is. If we're after just a satellite bull, and there's other, we brought somebody in to hunt with us, and that's usually the case, the breeding sequence just pulls them right over. I mean, there's not even to say, what if that don't work or this don't work? It works. That's just all there is to it. You set up, you go through the commotion, you're raking and thrashing and casting cow saws there. You're making a monster commotion over there. And let me tell you what, it will pull those in. And as you're doing that, that herd bull is going ballistic. He is trying to call and scream, warn the bull, call the cows away from him. He's doing everything, but he won't come. He will not leave his group. But those satellites do, and they come racing over. Now, if we want to kill the herd bull in that group, you see, that's a totally different strategy. You can't just use that breeding sequence and expect that herd bull to come running over to you. No more than I would go to bugling when I have a bull advertising. And that's exactly how we killed Paul's bull this year. We started going up the mountain just before daylight. We had headed up, and this bull, we probably went, I would say, we'd been walking 15 minutes, we heard a bugle. And he was way up the mountain, and we just kept going up, never made a sound. We didn't call. We went up, 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 up. Well, this guy, I'd say within the next 30 minutes, when we finally got 175 yards from him, had bugled, I would say, 10 to 12 times. And he never moved. Showed me, without doubt, he was advertising himself looking for cows. So I immediately started calling once I got to a spot that I felt with cow sound, with my favorite 2 lows, 1 high, boom. 2 lows, 1 high, boom. And he answered me on the second series, and he screamed right at me. And as soon as he did, I answered him immediately, letting them know I heard, but I couldn't go to him. You should have seen it. It was a jungle. I couldn't get through it. So I needed him to come. So I kept calling, and I kept pacing back and forth, making cow sound. About 6, 7, maybe 8 minutes later, he bugled from 150 yards, maybe 125. I knew he came closer. So now all I did was play stubborn cow, and I started to leave, and I left Paul right there. I started to leave, and I called the cow call. I'm just, and I'm walking away, crashing, thrashing, kicking everything I can as I leave. I ended up getting maybe 80 yards from Paul. It was hard to say exactly. And I never stopped calling the entire time. I probably cow called like that close to 100 times. I kid you not. Just mewing as I left. Here come that bull. You never made hardly another bugle. And my son ended. I heard the bull take off running, crashing. And I got up there, and Paul gives me the fist pump. That was a nice bull, 286. He shot him at 22 yards. He said that bull walked right over to where I first called. He wanted to smell the ground exactly where I made my first cow sound, to where that cow was standing. And that's what we've noticed in the past, that a lot of times when you cow call and you leave, they walk to where they first heard you. They want to smell. Is this cow near an estrus? What is she? But she left. She didn't want me. I don't know what goes through their mind to be, 100%, but I do know they show up at that spot. And we've taken quite a few doing that. And that's how we killed that bull. I think it was September the 10th. When he shot that bull. Yeah, I went 60 yards, piled right in front of him. We even saw a rack sticking up out of the ground when I walked back and met up with him. But, that's what I mean. You're always mixing it up. There's not one thing. And there's one question you asked here that, really deserves some attention and that you wanted to consider. And I thought it was really interesting. And it was the question where you said, do you find the one bull that is hot, or do you work every bull that talks? That's probably one of the most powerful questions you asked, and I don't know if you realize that, but it really is. That is an excellent question. You hardly ever hear that. But we don't like any bull to get away, okay? None. We're not one of those. We walk around the woods until we find a hot bull that is screaming at every note we throw out and then go after him. No, we want to attack every situation, because hunting over the counter, you just don't have that many opportunities that are afforded you at times. There's sometimes you don't have any opportunities in 2 or 3 days. Other times you may have one a day or 1 or 2. So we don't like anything going to waste, so to speak. And that's why we're so, inept of knowing what the sound is that bull is making, what he's saying. And we want to call them all in. I used to keep track, and I at one time called 16 bulls out of 16 tries, all 16 of them to bow range. And it's not something you're going to do all the time. Don't get me wrong, but it's real common for us these days. We will call 7 or 8 out of every 10 bulls into bow range. And so what I'm trying to show you is we don't like giving up on any of them. And the ones that I didn't call in, or my son didn't call in, it wasn't because we didn't know what we were doing. It was just because things didn't work out right, or the wind wasn't just right, or we had to back out and get out of there. Because, the situation has to be real good when you're calling an elk into your calls. And there's just times that you have to throw in the towel and you leave and come back another day. But as far as do we work every bull, you better believe it. We do everything we can. And not only do we work every bull, we try to kill every single elk right then and there. We hunt areas like there's no tomorrow. So we're extremely aggressive. And usually there isn't no tomorrow on over the counter because, you never know when other hunters are coming in. You just have no idea. And get a load of this. All these elk we've killed in the Elk Nut crew, we've never bivvy hunted on one elk. Not a single bull. We've killed every single one of them where we come back to camp every day. And no, we're not killing them on the roads. I've never killed an elk near a road yet. Not one. Neither has my son. Not a single one. But we locate a lot of them from the road at night. And that's our number one source for killing almost every one of these elk. We locate these elk an hour to an hour and a half before daylight. We have done this for year after year after year. And we killed 7 bulls this year. And I'm going to say all 7 were located from the road. That's how we locate them all. We go all at dark before daylight and we locate the bull. Don't get me wrong. These things aren't bugling 100 yards off the road. I mean, they're back there. But we hear them and we're going, okay, we have a really good bull here. Or we may even drive. We've drive as much as 30 miles at that time because you don't know where the elk are going to be. So, and we don't hunt trails. We don't hunt gated roads where you're walking everywhere and where everybody goes. So when an elk bugles, that's where we park and that's where we take off. And it's rarely anywhere near a trail. So we're kind of Ramboing it. We take our packs. We have everything ready to roll, our headlamps, and we get in as tight as we can to that bull. And hopefully he's bugled a few more times or he said something else that lets us know his mood, what's going on. Are there additional bulls? And hardly ever do we cow call to locate a bull. No, not at that time because it can draw them over to you. And when you're using a location bugle looking for elk, rarely do they ever come to you. Hardly ever. I mean, they'll answer you to let you know where they're at, or if it's a herd bull, it'll be a challenging or an intimidation response, letting you're not welcome and move on. So see, we listen to that. If we get a grunt or two and a heavy scream, we know we're working a bull with cow. No doubt in our mind. We got a herd bull right over here. And so we know what we're messing with. But if you get a light bugle back, you get that high pitch, non-threatening, and I receive that back, 9 times out of 10 it's a satellite every time. And so I have to work that satellite like a satellite. You see, and that's a whole different atmosphere. It's like if a bull has cows, is he going to be aggressive to you? No, I mean nothing. He has to have a cow in heat. So because the bull has cows, he's waiting for them to come into heat. So if you glass him or you get a bull to say something or you end up seeing elk where this bull has 6 or 7 cows, how are you going to kill that bull? Because if you try to run in on that bull and scream at him, 9 times out of 10, that bull could care less. How many times have you seen bulls during peak rut phases where there were multiple 5s and 6 points standing elbow to elbow, right with the cows? I've seen it lots of times. Mm-hmm. Why? No hot cows in the group. So how do you kill that bull? You got to play on his curiosity. And that is the number one way. So see, you're switching gears. If you're working with a herd bull that has hot cows, oh, you can be so aggressive. It's never ending. There's a lot of different scenarios that can work. But when you're working a bull that has cows and he does not have a hot cow, you must play on his curiosity. And one of my number one tactics, there's other little things that can work, but number one, I do my best to try to slip in within 100 yards. Sometimes I'm out a little further, but 100 yards is a good measuring stick. And all I do is I start off with some cow sounds. And then I ignite the cow sounds a little bit more with more intensity. I usually will do this for a minute. And I may only give 4 cow sounds. But they're kind of an annoying, irritated cow sound. And then I start to rake. I don't give any bugles. I don't give any growls, groans. I don't pant. I don't do anything. I plant that seed in that herd bull's head over there. You see, it's not really an intimidation or challenging situation, but you planted that seed that there's a bull right over there messing with a cow. And you keep going over it, and you keep working it and working it. And you watch, he comes sneaking over to you. He wants to see who the hell you are. He's not trying to beat you up. He's like, who in the heck has walked right in here and is messing with this cow? See, when you make no sounds, there's no way for this bull to size you up. None. He has no idea what you are. But you have gained his curiosity so much that he will finally get up and walk over there and to see what, and he really don't come sneaking in. Not that technique. You see, if you try to get aggressive and you get in and that bull sees or wins you, he will not come back to that bedding area. And you should have waited till he was right, meaning cows in heat, because when a bull is right for the pickings, meaning he has a hot cow or more, he's defensive. He will defend those cows to the death, and that's usually what happens to him. That's where you can actually call that bull, get in his face, and my favorite thing is to use that lip ball. Like I said, I'm calling my cow back. I like to get on that bull, and I try to get to that 80 yards. Sometimes I get 50 or 60 because it's thick, and he is just beside himself working his cow, and I get in there, and I try to call his cows away with that lip ball. He knows I'm not talking to him. He knows what the lip ball means. There's nothing to do with him. I'm trying to call his cows away from him. I'm trying to call that hot cow away, but I'm too big of a chicken to walk in and take it because he's there. And so I stand back and I call and I get just irate with that lip ball. I may give 3 or 4 or 5 just quick as I get urgent. I want that cow to come now. Well, do you think he's going to let that cow come? Are you kidding me? And you're that close to him? You've made it convenient for him to leave his cows, run over there, push you out of there, and bam, that bull's dead right there. That's where you got him. Sometimes you have to stop him with a nervous grunt because he's coming through so quick that you have to be ready. You have to, when you give that lip ball, you better have an arrow knob. There's no messing around. You don't have time to pull something out of your quiver, take a drink of water, and do all this stuff because it's high energy. When he comes in, it'll burn a memory in your life forever because he comes in so hot and heavy and exciting that you might not even taken a breath for 2 minutes and you don't even know. And I'm not kidding you. He comes in so quick when you wrap up that lip ball and then you don't pay attention to him and you keep trying to call that cow away or 2 or whatever it is. And here he comes flying in there. And so, but you have to do it close. This is not 150, 200 yard type of an encounter where you can use that sound. You got to be right on top of him where he knows you're a formidable opponent. You see, this is a time to be as big and bad as you can be. This is not a time to be a young bull sound worrying that you're going to run him off. If you come in there and you sound like a 3 or 4 point or a little 5 point spindly bull, that bull in most cases will not make a physical appearance to push you out. Why? Because he knows you're not a threat. He knows that a cow's never going to let you breed her. No way. You are not a threat to him or his harem. But you be a big bad bull and you come in and give him everything you got, you are now a force to be reckoned with and you are a threat. You are basically telling him that he doesn't have the right to keep and breed those cows. That's what you're really doing, right in his face. And that's what makes the difference. And these bulls that we've killed in that 25 years, between 75 and 80 are herd bulls. And these are the types of techniques that we use. When they're not bugling a lot, we use that. When they are screaming multiple bulls, competing for the cows, that's when you come in and you be that really squeaky wheel. You're on top of him because these other bulls are further back. And so what you're doing is you're making him force his action to come over and take care of you because you're so close to his harem and he won't go for it. You will have bull after bull coming in. If you have ice water in your veins, you will pull it off. And once you start killing bulls like that, you will develop that calmness where you can take it. Because a lot of them, I'll be honest with you, quite a few of them that we're killing are frontal shots because they come in so fast. And when we're doing this as a tag team, when you work a herd bull in fairly decent, thick country, like where a lot of us are used to hunting, your shooter and caller are no more than 20 yards away. We probably killed a dozen bulls, herd bulls, between my son and I, that we weren't even 10 yards apart. We were that close because things happen so fast that, one guy could have done it, but we get a kick out of helping each other. And we do it because, he's my son and I'm his dad. And so he wants a call, it doesn't mean he couldn't have done it or I couldn't have done it. Of course we do. And we have done it. But it's just such an exciting thing when you're seeing the whole thing happen right in front of you and you're part of it, So it's kind of cool.
So to recap right there. So if they're hot and aggressive, be aggressive. Don't cow call. If they're just kind of calling.
You can cow call if he's aggressive. That's okay. I mean, there's times we walk right in there and cow call, just hammer away at him really fast. And when he screams, we just scream a bugle right over the top of him. Now we're directly challenging that bull. You see, it's just situational. It's like which one's going to work. It doesn't mean one wouldn't work over the other. It's preference because I'm challenging the bull then. when I'm doing the lip ball, I'm trying to call his cows away. So there's two different things happening there, and it doesn't mean one would work at that time and the other wouldn't. It's just, what do we want to do this time? How do we want to play this guy? And that's really what it amounts to. So don't think, we wouldn't cow call at that time. Sure, you could cow call when he answered, just scream over him. I'd even bugle first, and you just scream and then turn around and cow call. Make him think the cows between are on the other side of this bull. And it's just unraveled them, and here they come running. So there's a lot of things as you're raking and thrashing. And there's times when I'm actually panting through the tube. But I don't do it every time. But there's times that it has made the difference. Because when a bull pants, it's showing excitement on his part. He'll pant for a cow coming in sometimes. But when a bull pants another bull, they're getting riled up, man. There's a lot of excitement, a lot of energy running, because you'll hear him pant 2 or 3 times, and then he'll just scream a bugle right over it. You see, that shows you the intensity and the action taking place, how serious this bull is. He's not backing off. He is there for the duration, and I want those cows. You see, and that's how it is. That's how it plays out. So it's not like it's just one thing or nothing. And I mean, the lip ball just kicks butt. It's hard to go wrong with it. It just does. 2 years ago, that's exactly how I killed. I had my son kill a herd bull. I watched this bull. I watched him for a week, and I saw he was a nice 6-point, and he had a bunch of cows with him. I had him through a spotting scope for 1.5 miles away. I watched him every evening because I was hunting, in the mornings at other places. Paul couldn't hunt because he was working. And so I had this bull, and I said, this is the bull you're going to kill. And I kept telling him about the 6-point. But I said, he's not ready to die yet. I said, he's not in heat yet. Or, there was no cows in heat. I could see his actions. And I could see the cow. Nothing was around him. I came one evening, same as I kept doing, and all of a sudden, there was a wallow right there that I didn't even know was there. And he was tossing mud for 10 minutes out of that wallow. He was throwing it everywhere, and I could see his cows kind of racy. And I saw one satellite off to the side, which probably meant more were going to be on the way. But that evening, when I saw that, I told Paul, I said, we're going in the morning. We're going to kill that bull right there. I said, we're going to get him. We're going to find him. I says, and I'm just going to call his cows from him. I know that's how I'm going to work this bull. He's only got 1 or 2 days where that cow was in heat or action was taking place. So we got over there, and we actually called this bull. I knew right where he was feeding down. I could see the finger of green timber. And so I called this bull off of a turnout off of a dirt road. I called about 5 or 6 times over 7 or 8 minute period. No response. Nothing. I sat there. And he goes, I thought you said he was ready. I mean, we did. We were talking there. It's just me and him. We're just sitting there. And I said, I'm telling you, he's over there. I know he's over there. After about 10 minutes, I called again. Nothing. I thought, man, I would have never thought that. There's no guarantees. We started to walk away. We literally walked 100 yards away, and he ripped off a bugle. And I went, that's him. That's him. I know it's him. I ripped a bugle off. He answered me immediately. I was, okay, game on. We took off. Within 15 to 20 minutes, Paul is so thick. It was terrible. We had one little opening, and he was still at least 150 yards over there, if not more. And there was one small opening. I set my son up, and I went back, and I told him, I said, all I'm going to do is call this bull's cows. I'm not doing nothing else. No cow calling, no nothing. I'm calling with irateness. I got in there, and on the 3rd bugle, I wasn't even there 1 minute. On the 3rd lip ball bugle, I hear everything crash banging. And I'm only 40 yards from my son, but I'm kind of hidden and I'm raking a little bit, because I'm thinking this is going to take longer. And I walk over there looking. Give me the fist pump. That bull walked right into 30 yards. He said so fast, he just came trotting in. He said, I could hear him just busting all the brush. I saw his antlers coming in. I drew. As soon as he stepped out in a 30-yard lane, and whack, that was it. He said, that bull's going to come run you over. He was coming in so fast. But see, that's what I mean. Sometimes you wait for things to develop. So it gives you a good odds. And because this bull happened to be 1.5 miles from a road, which was nothing when you're elk hunting and glassing them. I mean, we actually killed them about 0.5 mile in there is all it was. But they fed lower from where they were. And see, when I caught them in the evening, they were in their bedding coming out of it. I knew they were coming into that green timber finger. That's why I saw him coming each time. It was just that I knew he was ready to die, basically, because the cows were coming into heat. But so you see, you're playing different things as things happen. It's not like we're using one thing on every elk. Or everybody would. I mean, the kill rate would be 90% instead of 5 to 10%. So you're constantly challenging yourself and you're adjusting. I mean, on the gun sometimes. It's not like you walk out and you go, okay, we're going to bugle bull today. I mean, no, you're constantly reading the situation and then trying to apply the best odds where that elk is going to come over to you or you have to go to them. And that's really what elk hunting's all about.
Paul, there's so much we covered that
I know. I told you I rattle on. I get excited.
Oh, man. No, it's so good, though. I'm just sitting here soaking it up, just pissed that it's not closer to September, because just listening to you gets me excited. But there's
you sound serious about that too.
Oh, I'm dead serious, man. I'm dead serious. And there's still so much we didn't cover too, so we might have to get you back on here for a part 2 if you're up for it.
You know what? I would do another one in a heartbeat, and I know it's easy to start going in different directions and stuff, but
there's questions that I personally want to ask, and I'm sure there's questions that the listeners have, so let me go ahead and throw that out there. All you guys, go ahead and email us if there's something that, you've been wondering about on this episode or just want to hear from Paul on. Go ahead and email us at podcast@exomountaingear.com, and we'll try and get that and do a part 2 with Paul for sure. Hey, Paul, let's wrap up with this one question I thought was an interesting question from a new elk hunter who is kind of asking, and he was basically wondering, and this is totally off the topic of calling, but he's saying he wakes up in the morning, he's out there getting ready to hunt elk, he's a new elk hunter, he's out there in the field, he's getting ready to get going for the day. What should he be telling himself? How should he be encouraging himself and getting himself basically in the right mindset to go kill an elk that day?
And it really is a good question, and that was the one question that I had the most trouble with. You know why? Because when I first read that, all I could think of was, I don't think of anything, nothing. I even asked my son. I says, "Do you think of anything?" He goes, "No, I just get up and we get ready." Because we usually get up 4:30 every morning, and then we get ready. We're at camp, We're just full speed ahead, and every time we go out hunting, and I will answer it, but every time we go out, we fully expect to kill an elk that day. That's just our that's not cocky. It's just you have to be positive, and there's things that lead to that. It's your physical training, it's your workout, it's your ethic behind shooting your bow and making sure you're all dialed in, the gear you're wearing, everything you have. You're ready, you're prepared. You see, so when a guy asks a question like that, it's like you're thinking of all these things that got you to this point, and that's why I think the very first thing that I thought of was today could be the day. That was the first thing that hit my mind, that today could be the day. Because you have to have a positive attitude when you go out there. One thing about being an elk hunter, and especially for newer ones, you're going to find out after you start hunting a few years that elk hunters are good sufferers. And there's a lot of truth behind that. Because whether you are walking miles or you're frustrated, there could be 4 straight days of nothing and 15 seconds of glory and your bull's on the ground. And it erases all those other 4 days of your tired, aching feet, and my back hurts and my pack's not riding well. And my head hurts and I'm sore and I didn't want to get up that morning at 4 o'clock. All that is washed out the window with just that little bit. So I like the idea of saying today could be the day and have that motivation. And if I had a second one, it would be without a doubt being able to exercise patience. Because I think when people call a lot, they expect a lot. They expect things to happen now. And I've learned as I've gotten older, and I'm 61 now, that patience is such a virtue. Whereas we love running and gunning. Yeah, we'll sit trails, we'll sit water, we'll do things depending on the time of the month it is. But sometimes having that lack of patience has cost me so many opportunities. Whereas today it seems like we cash in on a lot more because of sitting longer or calling and allowing things to develop with the elk and not expecting things to happen as fast as we would like them to. So, if you could say today was the day and then exercise that patience. And number 3, it is not the bottom of the list. This is the thing that helps me more than anything. You know why people miss elk? I'll tell you why people miss elk. It's their excitement. They move their bow arm. They want to see where that arrow impacts the elk. It's just human nature to want to see once you hit that release. And so what I tell myself, and I've had to do this because it's cost me elk, is even today, I've done this for years, is I tell myself, you have to focus. focus, focus. And what this means for me, and I think this could help newer elk hunters, when I draw, and I practice this when I'm shooting months before the season, even right now, when I draw and I anchor, I make sure that my thumb and my finger that's on that release, on that trigger ready to pull, touches my cheek. And what I have found is when I pull that trigger, and you do it to repetition on a target, when you pull it and you keep it anchored, do not let it fling back to your ear. Do not let it fling away from your face. Keep it anchored. It keeps my bow hand on my bow. It doesn't, for some reason, it doesn't allow me to drop the bow down or pull it left so I can see where that arrow's going. It makes me freeze right there when I shoot and let the arrow do its job. Because no matter how fast I look at what the arrow's going to do, I can throw it off course. And it's still going to do what it wants to do. So I tell myself, and it really has helped me, is I focus on that shot. When I release, keep it to my cheek. And it keeps me there plenty long enough for that arrow to hit its intended target. And so, that's it. Those are the three things I think that anybody could help, it can help them. But you could probably ask a dozen guys that, Lenny and Mark, and you'd get a dozen different answers. But I do know that those three are they top my list, and I know it makes me be a more confident, elk hunter.
Well, those are three good things. And the other thing you kind of mentioned is the caveat in the beginning of you not thinking, all has to do with the fact that you're not thinking so much on that day of, because you've prepared so well in advance. And even that alone is a good point, that you need to not psych yourself up. You need to not think as much. You're just there to just do what you're prepared to do if you're prepared. And so I think that's a really good point as well. Preparation,
sometimes people think it's overemphasized or working out. And, your workout program really is to what your style of hunting is. What if you're a tree stand hunter? What if that's all you want to do, and you put, restrictions on yourself that I'm only going to hunt a tree stand. I know areas that are a mile or less, the terrain's not that bad. Maybe your age is up there, or you have physical handicap, whatever. But if that's your style, but if you want to be a runner and gunner, and if you want to say I have no limitations and I will go anywhere, a lot of times people take it wrong when I say we've never bivvy hunted for elk. Well, you know what the average kill is for us? And we've killed elk as far as 7 miles and packing them one way. And the normal kill for us is between 1.5 and 3 miles. That's the normal kill distance. And so even though we're contacting a lot of them from a road sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes, the kill distance still is great, because those elk are usually on the move. You see, they're leaving their feeding area, heading to their bedding area. And so that's a real important thing to know, that they're usually not just sitting right there. They're on the move. And so it's real common that the standard length of a pack out for us, when Paul and I get an elk down, is 4 hours. That's our standard one-way pack out. So if a person is going to want to hunt with that style, then you have to train for it. You really do. If you think you're just going to jump out there and do it, it will beat you up in days without even packing meat. The side heeling and the down heeling is as hard as anything, because when you're coming down with 100 pounds, it puts a lot of stress on your body, because you're tense the whole time as you hold yourself and the weight back. And people don't realize that until they get in that situation, how draining going downhill can be. So it's just kind of an overall thing. Like you said, if you prepare for all that, it gives you a good mindset for the hunt.
Yeah, for sure. Paul, thank you so much for the time tonight. We really appreciate it.
Hey, no problem at all. It was my pleasure. I really enjoyed, being with you guys this evening. I really did. Thank you for asking me.
All right, that's a wrap on this one, guys. Again, hope you really enjoyed it. Don't forget about the giveaway. Go enter that now. You're going to want in for sure. exomountaingear.com/giveaway. And again, any questions, comments, feedback, please shout out to podcast@exomountaingear.com via email. And then again, we'd love to have those reviews on iTunes or Stitcher, wherever you're listening to this. If you're enjoying the show, we would absolutely love to hear about it, and that helps us a ton. So, catch you next time.